Hello and welcome to another edition of Jeff Walker Books discussion. As you can hear, I'm a little under the weather right now. Having a little bit of a sinus thing going on. Not very good. I can tell you that right now. I know it's been a while since I've made a podcast or did a YouTube video, and I'm not really sure who's watching. So there you go. And I'm a bit of a Debbie Downer right now, just because of everything that's going on. But on the plus side, I've got two books. The Jungle Planet is in the SPSFC 3, and I'm on Team Jam Reads. Woo! Oh, wait, is that the right one? I think it is. Oh no, I'm on Team Vorlon or something on that one. And then I think in the speculative novella competition, I'm with Team Jam Reads. That's right. I get a little confused there because that one is The Long Lost War, my novella that's in for the competition. And then that just started as well. It's interesting because both these competitions started at the same time. And so I'm hoping both books do well. I'm hoping at least my novella of Long Lost War gets a fair good rating and some exposure. It's up against a lot of fantasy novels, so fantasy has become really, really big these days, and it's really hard to break into the science fiction genre and knowing that fantasy is like dominating right now. And so yeah, it makes it hard for some of us sci-fi indie authors who are doing this self-published to get noticed. And I have to apologize to everybody that I cannot make any more audiobooks. I'm out of funds. I'm out of money. I can't afford it anymore. I could put up a funding page, which I did on my Ko-Fi page. You can contribute that way if you want to turn Jungle Planet into a audiobook, but I really don't have the money anymore. This year has been hard for everybody, me especially so. It's been really, really hard to maintain a financial balance. So it's me promoting my books. It's me trying to get the word out there. It's all me trying to do this myself. And here I go again, because this is exactly what it was like when I was first trying to make my comic book. Like back in the early 90s, I was trying to do this myself. I was like writing, drawing, compiling, doing the everything. And it was so hard. I was so overwhelmed that I just couldn't complete it because it was too hard a task for me, because I couldn't pay anyone to do anything. I had no money I had to do it all. And that's not ego at all, and especially covers. Now in the age of the digital, they got the AI covers going on right now. A debate of, is that cheating or is that creative stealing? And the same could be said for books being written by AI. That it's just it's just stealing. And there was a case down in the States where they said that it wasn't a creative thing for an AI to write a book, so they have no rights to have any copywriting on that. So I understand the whole concept of it. And I know that for art, it's subjective in a way. People seem to think that because you're doing art for a book, it doesn't mean that, that's original, and you shouldn't enter it. I don't think you should. If you do a full AR cover, don't enter it. All right? I mean, I will admit I did some AI covers, as did we all when we first started. And some of it's good, some of it's bad. But I don't mind it if the artist mixes it up a bit, because you're going to have this regardless. There's going to be certain things that some artists can't just seem to get a grasp on. They'll go to the AI, they'll do a quick rendition, and at some point they'll incorporate it into their art. To me, I don't see the problem with that, because I'm a graphic designer by heart. I mean, that's what I trained for originally. And I understand that. I don't understand, like, well, the 100% AI generation, obviously not a good thing. I mean, it's not original art. It's good for slapping on covers for people that don't know how to make the cover art, and that are trying to save money and trying to get their book out there and published and just slap on that and put it out there. I don't fault them for that. What I fault them on is once they've established themselves, that they just keep on doing it. I'm talking about big name companies or big name publishers or even indie publishers who feel that's the route to go in. And really, it's not. If you're an indie publisher and you want to promote the person that you're doing, you don't go for that. AI art, that's just a cop-out for that. I can understand as self-publishers that if you're doing this yourself, yes, it would be better if you paid an artist to do it, or you try to do it yourself in a way that's artistic in a way. But I'm not here to lambaste anybody. I mean, there was a whole controversy going on about Bob the Wizard that came out. It was a cover that looked great despite it being 100% AI. But what made that worse was that the AI cover was done by a company or an artist who said that he hand-drawn, he or she made that cover themselves, which was a lie because they found it on the Midjourney app. It was on there. So to me, that means that the artist that was taking the money, the artist that was promising results, lied to that author and gave him that cover, and then he got lambasted for putting it on there. I think that should be the artist's fault for doing that, because he went and paid the artist to do it, and the artist came back with this. So that was a fraudulent thing. That's fraud, as far as I'm concerned. Now, somebody came on, changed up the cover. They all claim it looks great. Me, not so much. I wasn't a fan of that cover. That got the next one that came. I think it could have been a little bit better, but for what it was good enough. And like I said, if you publish this book and you put a cover like that on, you can go back later and get when the book becomes successful, or if it becomes successful, or if you have the money later on, you can change that cover to something more artistic. And that's why I say we should never lambaste anybody for that. Especially the writer. My God, the writer is doing the best he can to get that out there for you. And now, when it comes to AI writing, if the book is 100% AI written, yes, you shouldn't claim any authority to that. I mean, if you let that ChatGPT write the whole book for you, there's no point in you being a writer, unless they make a subcategory as a prompter, a writing prompter, which to me is not creative at all. That's for people that have no creativity, no imagination. They just want a book out there and make money, and that's it. And I can see when it was like totally covering Amazon with all these different books that were coming out super, super fast. To me, that says AI written all over it. It takes time for you to write a book. It takes time for you to come up with ideas. It takes time to do this stuff. And if you're turning it out a little faster, it might be short stories or novellas. I can understand that. But when it's full-on books and you're just like 1, 2, 3, all in the same month, That's not right. That's not a human doing that. That's the AI just pumping it out. And but when it comes to like other things, like there's in Writing Pro, and I'm sorry, Pro Writing Aid, the app on there, it gives suggestions on how to rephrase words and how to rephrase a structure a paragraph. To me, that's fine. I mean, that's great. I wouldn't keep doing it over and over and over again. Some of it just becomes unreadable. And I don't see the problem with that. I don't mind it being part of the writing program itself. Like, there was always Grammarly and stuff like that to correct your writing. There's nothing wrong with that. That is exactly what you need. Another pair of eyes, sure. If you can afford to get the editor. Some of us can't afford editors. So we have to become the editor ourselves. Which to me is another whole thing, because people start lambasting writers for not having an editor or not having a second opinion about books. Yes, you can. You can have another person on there talking about books. You need, like, I have given my book to some other people to read and point out some stuff to me, but they're not an editor. They're not paid to re-scramble the story and give you chunks of this and that to make it a better thing. Now, to me, I said, if you're a writer, you need to invest in an editor, and that's true. And that's true. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's not. It is true. You need an editor at some point. But like I said, if you can't afford it, you can ask somebody if they want to volunteer, but then you feel bad because they're reading an entire book or rewriting an entire book out of the goodness of their heart. Well, that did happen to me. As somebody that liked my Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow reached out to me and said, "Do you need me to edit this book?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely, thank you." Because they were a fan of the short stories I sent out and noticed that, that could have been tightened a little bit better. And I was glad that she did that. I've never heard from her ever again because we only did it online. And I never heard from her after the whole incident with the COVID, so I hope she's doing well somewhere. But like I said, I lost contact. When I last contacted her about the book, she said, "Oh, I thought you forgot about me." I was like, "No, I never forgot about you." I even mentioned her in my acknowledgments for that. But like I said, yes, when you're editing, try to get another pair of eyes. I do try. I've had my wife here. She does do scanning of my stuff sometimes and catching some stuff. Last time I put her in the credits for one book, and I felt bad because the book didn't do that well. So sometimes I don't mention the editor because that's usually my wife half the time. And I know they'll be like, "Well, you don't acknowledge your wife being the editor?" And I was like, I think she just, she doesn't really mind. I mean, it's my book, my story. She's glad to read it because she's an educator. She used to teach. She's on leave for mental issues, which has contributed to a lot of things that it's happening in my life right now. So I'm doing the best with what I can, what I've been given, what I can write, and putting on that topic, I'm on to my next thing, which is, at long last, the release of the Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow Book 1. If you're a fan of the original books, or the little 6 short stories, I committed to write a book. However, the book was so big and taking so long that I had to split it into parts, part 1 and part 2. Now, part 1 I've fully written. Part 2 is still on the wayside. So I said, you know what? When the two parts are actually, when the second part is actually done, I will combine it into one book, just as I did with Outer Red. Outer Red I had to do in chunks because it's all the time I could do. I had to write them into like mini novellas and then combine them into one book later on. Well, that's what's going to happen with Professor Darkk and Miss Shadows. The Burning Fire Rises. The Burning Fire Rises is pretty much their go book of their first full story, which I've been promising from day one with that whole thing, because book 0 was the short stories all culminated together, and it was just to get your beak wet for them. People have said, well, why didn't they make them longer? Because they're short stories. And I'm pretty sure I said short stories in some of the titles, but maybe I got misleading in some of that, and I'm sorry. And but I mean, for The Burning Fire Rises, it will be a book. It's going to be over 60,000 words, which I know some people say, well, when you're writing these kind of books, you need to be 80. But man, that's a lot. And I just don't have that kind of time, pardon me, to focus on that. I mean, I have other things. I have other... somebody said to me, why don't you just wait until the whole book's done? And I'm like, do you realize how long that would be? I don't have that kind of time. You know, like, I'm hitting like the high 50s here already. So, you know, I'd really like to get these things out. Which is why I said I'd do it in part 1, part 2, as an ebook only at first. I'm not going to publish it as a book unless I think it's fully worth being a book, and I see the stars that are coming for it, just to get the viewer feedback for it so far. But I'm really, really trying to get this stuff out there. Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow is something I promised from the very get-go. And really, like I said before, this book might be the only full novel I'll do of them, because they just don't work as full novels, if you get my meaning. Like, they do better as novellas, shorter, tighter stories for Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow. I think that's how they work best. Because when you start to get into the world and you start to, you know, churn out this stuff, it starts to get muddled down in areas that you don't really want to go into. I don't know how else to explain it. But when I started writing this novel, I committed. I said I would do it. People want to know more about them. I'm going to tell you right now, there's not a whole lot that's going to be explained about their origins. I don't want to give that right away. And that's the whole point of them being a mystery. It says it right there in the title, The Mysterious World of. Somebody said they wanted to see how Miss Shadow was groomed by Darkk to become his protege. And, you know, it'll touch on points in some places about that sort of arc. I don't want to give a whole lot away, because I'm nearing completion of getting this book done. I'm hoping to get the pre-order out by the end of October. The pre-order will start in October and will carry on into the new year. And hopefully I'll have it all done by then. I mean, I'm still going through, still checking things out, correcting, adding in some chapters, cutting some chapters in half, because they tend to be a little long. And some people like long chapters, but the standard norm is that you don't go over 3,000 words for some reason. 4 is really pushing it. But 3 is the maximum now. I don't know who makes these laws about it, but I don't know. At any rate, I'm really working hard on getting The Burning Fire Rises out, part 1, and this is book 1. So hopefully it'll be out soon. Hopefully it'll do well. But in the meantime, I have the competitions that I'm just like racking my brain around. The SPSF 3, that to me is important because the the Jungle Planet was my first like a really good standalone novel. I had your services required, but I didn't enter it, and maybe I should have, but I did in the BB, the BBNYA Book Bloggers Award, and it instantly got kicked out. As the contest began, some found it interesting, some found it not so interesting. It got some good reviews that I'm happy with. Nothing really negative in the way of certain things, but story was all I concerned about, and story is all they loved about it. So that's good. But it didn't make it into the finals or semifinals, which disappointed me. Just as the Masked Planet didn't get through this last SPSF contest. But what are you going to do? People have different tastes. People have different ways of reviewing, of seeing a novel for what it is. Some just like to nitpick. Some like to, I don't know. They're not in that genre headspace. and like I said, I really just wanted to tell a good story. And for the most part, it seems to have done the job. I've gotten a lot of good, favorable reviews. Some are just negative and really made me want to go, huh? Like, did you even read the book? But anyway, I'm not going to criticize on that too much because it's never a good thing. And I know sometimes that bothers authors when they get bad reviews. I know it does me. It affects me sometimes, questioning myself. But when I get a good review, it puts me in a high mood, and I'm really hoping people enjoy my stuff. I'm really hoping that people get my form of storytelling. For the most part, I do a good job. I'm happy with the way some of them turned out. My very first book was a bit of a hot mess, but that was the Distant Saga trilogy. I mean, that was a bit of a mix-up in there, and I just honed myself a little bit better after that one. And so now I'm doing this one, and I'm waiting for the results for both the Jungle Planet and the Long Lost War, because the Long Lost War has never been put into any contest. This is the first time it's been into any contest. The book has always received great reviews on Goodreads. Everybody seems really pleased with the novella. Complaining that it's too short, it's always the way. You know, novellas are meant to be short. But like I said, I'm working on something for that one too, a prequel book, which is still on the back burner on that one too. But, you know, I'm slowly chipping away at it, just like I did with Professor Darkk and His Shadow. It's really hard to do some books like this. I've never done series books. I'm usually standalone kind of thing. But I have to get back to Deep Contact and tell more stories about them. I'm kind of like halfway through the second novel, which is going to be more of a step back into their years before that event. And I'm just really, really trying hard to get these books out there. It's not easy. So let me just tell you right now, it's not easy. I'm a self-published person that loves science fiction, loves fantasy, loves all this stuff. But, you know, I'm trying to do this alone, and it's not easy. And you have no money, and you're trying to balance your work life and write life and, you know, family life. it all gets a bit much sometimes. And I've come on here and I've shared my, my moments of weakness, of dark thoughts and stuff like that. And really, I want to thank everybody that's ever supported me about, telling me to, try not to sweat the small stuff, and you'll get through it. And thank you very much for that. Hindsight being what it is, it's just that now it's a financial problem. Now it gets worse. Now here we are. It gets much for everybody. I understand. Times they are changing. We got the West and East going at it. It's starting to gear up to like World War III again. My wife's all worried about the AI taking over, and I'm like, oh, did you read my book? Maybe that's. But that's where we're at, and this is like just an update to tell you that I am working on it. I've already put up a small ad on Twitter. Oh, not Twitter anymore. X. Thank you, Elon Musk. About that's on its way for next year. Like I said, it's on its way for pre-order for October. I will put it up for October, and I will try to aim for a January or February release of the book. So hopefully it'll be done by then. Hopefully I'll have enough edits and rewrites and everything's neat and just to the core to that book. And then I can get back into my other science fiction stuff. I was on Substack, by the way, and I've been trying to put some stories up there on Substack and mailing them out. But I'll tell you something, it's not easy doing that either. I'm so tired of all these social media things I got to do. It's tiring me out. Substack, for what it is, yeah, it's not interesting me anymore. I mean, I've got some stuff on there, but not a lot of people are feedbacking with me, and I can put it up, but it really isn't to my advantage unless I'm a full-fledged, author getting paid money to do it. Or an audience that's willing to pay, because I put stuff up for pay. I mean, I got to try to make money for this stuff, guys. It's how I have to live. Like I said, I'm a little grumpy because I've got my sinus congestion here and plugged ears. So now at this point, I'm just ranting, aren't I? In any case, I've got it coming. The book is on its way. Part one of this book is coming, and really, I hope you enjoy it. I hope those of you that have read The Mysterious World of Professor Darkk and His Shadow are looking forward to seeing yet another adventure with them and a new companion, few new characters being put in there. Something that was mentioned in the collected book at the end. That character, and I just I want you to enjoy everything that I bring out to you guys. I really do. I really hope that you enjoy all my science fiction stories, all of my horror kind of thrillers, the kind of things. Sorry. Because, they mean a lot to me. I wrote this out of sheer imagination. The Long Lost War was the one I wrote almost instantly, because I'll tell you right now, that book was from start to finish everything I thought of while I was driving down the road for back and forth to work, and everything in that book, the way it was planned out, is exactly how I imagined it. Because that's how I do it. Instead of fleshing out characters, putting up notes, I don't do any of that. It comes to me as it is. The book writes itself sometimes when I say it. Because when I dream of my books. And I dream of my characters. I dream of their interactions. I just seem to know what they're going to say, when they're going to say it, where the action's going, where the plot is headed for. I just seem to know all of that as I'm typing, as I'm going. Is that a pantser for writing? Like writing on the seat of your pants? Maybe. But I know where everything is. I know where things are going to be placed. I just know where it's all going to be. And that's how I write. That's chaotic maybe to some writers out there, gasping, you should be plotting out this and that. And it's like, nope, I just seem to know. I like my characters the way I write them. I make no apologies for some of the stuff I write. Characters are just how they are, because that's how I hear them in my head. If they're bickering or saying nasty stuff to each other, that's how I pretty much see it in my head. I pretty much know the characters inside and out. I know how they're supposed to be. I know what they're supposed to look like, culturally, diversibly. I know this is a big thing for diversification in books these days, but you know what? Diversity is the bread and butter of writers anyway, so I really don't see why you need to stress that. I get tired of seeing people saying there should be more diversity in books. There is a ton of diversity in books. The problem I have is you trying to undiversify a book that has a culture in it that was written specifically for that certain culture. Case in point, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is not a very diverse book. I'll give you that much. But it was written specifically for a type of lore in a type of culture. And it works for that. And for you to try to change that or put in people that should not be in there at all, or try to change a character to be more pro whatever, it doesn't work for that universe. Just understand that that's a different universe. If you don't like that universe, go create a new universe that has that in it. Because you cannot change what a writer has put down to page. That belongs as is all books. All books. The books that have been written are pretty much the sign of times. Is just history. That's history of books. And for anybody to try to change that to their own sensibilities is just absolutely wrong in every sense. The book remains as it is. You don't like the book? Fine. Don't like the book. But you shouldn't try to block the book from other people reading it. There are things in there that are part of our history, are part of our cultures, part of what made us human. And I'm sorry if I'm getting passionate about this, but I think that books need to stay the books, all right? People wrote those books, and they're fiction, and we all know it, and there's no point in trying to say, oh, Harry Potter is witchcraft, the devil work. No, it's a book that entertains. It has nothing in there of that sort. And then trying to ban it? Come on, guys. Like, what? Have we stepped back in time? Like, this is ridiculous. Just keep the books as they are. The writer is still alive. She knows what she wants. She knows where characters are supposed to be. If you don't like it, go create your own version of another book that has more of what you want in it. Stop trying to change things that you cannot change. Okay? Batman is Batman. He will not be anybody else. You know, you can diversify him, make him queer, but he's not going to be that. He's just not. You cannot change something that has been a precedent for how many decades or years. So if you don't like it, go create something new and exciting. And that's all we ever say. Because look at what's happened to Star Wars. It's just gotten plagued with member berries and just stop it. If you don't like it, create something new. Go create a new kind of Star Wars. Zack Snyder is making Rebel Moon. Maybe that'll be the new Star Wars. I don't know. But I would be so offended if somebody changed any aspect of my book, anything at all. I would be ticked off, like something awful. And I don't care if they think that book is, very whatever, racist or misogynist or whatever. It's the book. It's just the book. There are like books out there that you sit there and you raise a brow to half the time, but they're still out there. And they're good, a lot of them, even though they're dated, some of them. So you have to wonder, like, do you forgive or forget, or do you just, start something new? It's a bizarre case that's going on right now. It's the world has been acting very strangely indeed. And I'm not sure if we're going in the right direction at all. It's up to us to change it. It's up to us to bring us back onto the course where we're set. Somewhere along the lines, mid-90s, I think, we've been slipping into something else that I really don't care for. Humanity has turned a point where where we were going was looking good, is now looking disastrous. So we've got to bring that back to point and get us back on the right course. And by doing that is supporting each other in our endeavors and just accepting a lot of things that we are. I know there's this whole pronoun thing going on, and I can't accept that. And that's probably me. I am set in my ways. Some people are set in their ways. There's a good way of dealing with this, not to lash back and not to sit there and shake your finger at someone, but rather humor them, say, okay, this, and then when they're gone, they're gone. Like, you've moved on, they've moved on, the end. Sorry. As I said, I'm really under the weather, really cranky. And, yeah. So, getting back on topic again, before I went on my little tirade, I think that my books are coming as fast as I can make them. They're looking pretty good, and I will get them out there. Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow's first book is coming. That's what I want to stress. Book 1 is on its way. And I just wanted to get that message out there. I want you to also support me in the contests to send in the reviews. Check out my books. Check out my short stories as well. I have short stories on Amazon, and just give me a look and take a read. And they're really inexpensive, most of them. So, I'm on Smashwords. I'm on everything. Kobo. Give me a look. Give me a read. And give me a comment. And that's all I'm asking. Good, bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. I take it all. And I have taken it all. So, there you go. So for now, I'm just going to tell you that I've got that book on the way. I'm still working on a few others. My goals have kind of shifted. So you'll just have to forgive me that. And you'll have to forgive me for coughing in your ear, because that's what I was doing, wasn't I? Because of my cold. And like I said, just support your self-published authors. Give them comments. Give them a read. Just go and read a self-published book and give it your honest opinion. That's all we ask. That's all any of us want. And I hope you stay safe and well out there. And I'll end it on that. Thank you so much for listening to Jeff Walker Books Discussion. I will talk again soon. Bye for now.